Should I refer to you as Mike or Killer Mike? Mike, good?
Mike is fine. That's
Yeah,
what you
all
call
right.
me. Yeah.
That's what I do call you. I don't, this killer business gets me.
Oh man, I hope y'all got some B-roll on that. You are a person who I've known for the last 3 years, 4 years of my life. I can honestly say that your integrity propels and compels me to keep supporting you. Your policy is the only policy that I have seen in my lifetime that matches up with the policy of what was the Poor People's Campaign. It is the only policy that matches up with what's fair and just.
Let me just pick up on one point you made. And a lot of people don't know this. At the end of his life, not only did Dr. King get murdered in Memphis, where he was not on a quote-unquote civil rights effort, he was standing with some of the most exploited black workers in America.
Absolutely.
And he said, I'm going to go down there and help you form a union and get decent wages and decent working conditions. That's where he was murdered. And at that same time, what he was also doing is trying to put together a poor people's campaign.
Absolutely.
Bringing together blacks and poor whites and Native Americans and Latinos to saying, you know what, we have got to march on Washington. We have to encamp ourselves in Washington. We have to demand a fundamental change in national priorities. Instead of continuing spending billions of dollars on a war in Vietnam, then we got to invest in housing, in healthcare, in the needs of poor people and working people. What a profound, think about it for a second, what a profound and revolutionary concept that was.
I concur.
And that is the moment that he was killed. And in a sense, that is what we are trying to do today. This is the richest country in the history of the world, okay? And we forget about that. If we're a poor country, you and I have a certain type of discussion. Yes. We are the richest country in the history of the world. Do we think it is morally acceptable that 3 people own more wealth than the bottom half of American society? Do we even talk about that issue?
We do not talk about
All right. Where is the outrage regarding that? Tonight in America, you're gonna have 500,000 people sleeping out on the streets.
That is something to be outraged
Isn't that
about.
unbelievable?
Absolutely.
Today in America, this year in America, 30,000 people are gonna die, D-I-E, disproportionately. African American, Latino, poor people in general, because they don't have any health care at all. You ever talk to anybody who said, I can't afford to go to the doctor?
Absolutely, I have. I have 2 friends who have died, my high school friends, and I'm a young man, who have died because of lack of health care. My people, I got a call from one of my friends saying, man, your boy Bernie might have something with that health care thing. I see he took some people over to Canada to buy. He said, I gotta admit though, both my parents diabetic, and he telling the truth about that.
His parents are diabetic.
His parents are diabetic. And the reason I say that is black people, like I'm in the gym every morning now trying to get a bank shot like yours because I don't want to get diabetes. I don't want to stifle myself, right? Black people are more disproportionately affected by diabetes than any other group. So when you say diabetes and talking about free health care, I want people who look like me on the other side of the camera to recognize that that is a black issue. And if you don't have the ability to have health care, which isn't just treating it, healthcare is being able to go early enough to be pre-diagnosed.
Healthcare is having a lifestyle which prevents disease in the first place, which has to do with nutrition, has to do with decent housing, has to do, by the way, with clean drinking water, and so forth and so on. All right, I think you said it all. I mean, just on this issue of diabetes. When you go to Canada, I don't know, you get to Canada often on your trips?
Yeah, they caught me with a joint one time, but.
This is unbelievable. This is what I learned on that trip. Turns out, 7.5 million people in this country use insulin. I didn't know that. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
It turns out, this was what's crazy. So we went to Canada and we were able to purchase insulin for 1/10 the price. Same exact product, okay? 1/10 the price. So then we can ask the question, how does that happen in Canada? They pay 10% for insulin that we pay in the United States. That's one issue. Here's the other issue. Of that 7.5 million Americans who are using insulin, it turns out, this is unbelievable, 1/4 of those people are rationing their insulin. You got that? Yeah, that's right. Rationing their insulin. On this trip, and I'll never forget this as long as I live, young guy and his mother, I don't know, his mid-20s. Guy was a former football player, okay, big guy. He lied to his parents when he was in college in telling them that he had enough insulin because he didn't want to put more financial pressure on them, okay? He became sick. When you don't take your insulin, you become sick. And obviously, if you continue doing that, you die. 1/4 of the American people are rationing their insulin. Last year, Mike, the top 10 drug companies made $69 billion in profit. So the issue that we throw out there, the policy issue is the function of healthcare to provide quality care to all, or is it to make huge profits for the drug companies and the insurance companies? If you have a major, say, heart transplant in Canada, a really difficult expensive procedure. Do you know how much you leave the hospital? What kind of bill you leave the hospital with? Do you know?
How much?
Zero.
Nah, I thought a little something in Canada. Zero?
Yeah, I guess they have a parking lot out there which they charge you for that. That's the major fee is what you have to pay to park your car. Nothing.
Wow.
Okay? You go to any doctor you want to go to. You don't take out your wallet. There are no out-of-pocket expenses, all right? No premiums, no deductibles. And you know what, at the end of all that, Mike? They spend 50% of what we spend per person on healthcare. In this country, we spend about $11,000. They spend about half of that. How's that?
That's amazing. I appreciated what Sister Cardi B said. All right, so people razz you a little for getting hip hop on board, but it's not like you sent out feelers in the hottest clubs. You don't have Bernie Sanders in the compound buying bottles recruiting us. Kids in hip hop come from working class and poor environments. People often talk about paying more in taxes. She and I are probably both of the part that pay about 40 to 60% of taxes a year. She said, I'm willing to pay the taxes I pay. I would just like to see my money go into
That's right.
education.
She's absolutely right.
In America, There Will Be Blood, the movie. That we live that movie, that you can be rich. Well, rich is a long life with your children. My grandparents were never rich, right? They raised 3 successful homeowners. We have never had to go back to them and ask them. That's rich. Rich is being able to spend the time with your family. Rich is not an endless pursuit of money, and I'm a rapper, right? I got on chain and Rolex.
Hey, you know what? I've been trying to say that for several years, and this guy just did it a lot better than I did. Absolutely. I mean, what we are taking on is not just Trump and his policies, it's what he thinks human life is about. And what he thinks human life is, you rob, you steal, you cheat, you step on people, then you make $1 billion. That's his understanding of what success is in life. And you're talking about a very, very different success. You're right. You love your kids, you have a decent home, you have a decent community. We don't have to step over people who are sleeping on the sidewalk. Our kids get a good education.
I'm willing, like Cardi, to do my part. I would just like to see the money that's placed here, funding things like our military industrial complex, our private prison complex. I'd like to see that fund pre-K programs as early as 2 years old so that children are readers going into kindergarten. I want to see us be the country that we truly can be, that we've never have been, but truly can be.
Now, I am really pissed off. I got to tell you why. Because you're saying all of this stuff better than I say it. That's what I try to say. You got the whole thing.
Well, you have inspired me.
All right, good. What you're talking about, what do we mean by wealth? Is wealth just having $1 billion in the bank and living in a society where you can't breathe the air, where the climate change is going to destroy the planet? Is that really wealth? I mean, the Bible tells us something very differently, right? The great thinkers of our time, Dr. King and others, tell us something very different. We are, and this is what I do say all the time, we're the wealthiest country in the history of the world. All of the issues you're talking about, can we have high quality pre-K?
Yes, absolutely.
Your point is that kids are not going to make it if by the time they get into the first grade, they're already 2 years behind. They can't read, right? Can we address this issue? Yeah, I think we can. Send a guy to the moon. I think we can do that. Can we hire good teachers, good childcare workers? Yeah, I think we can. Can we strengthen our public schools so that we attract the best and the brightest to teach in our schools? Can we make teaching an honorable and respected profession?
Absolutely.
Okay, can we do all these things? Healthcare for all. Student debt, I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Right now, you got 45 million people, disproportionately African American, by the way. I heard a statistic, it blew me away. For young African Americans, 12 years after they leave school, they are more deeply in debt on average than when they took out that debt in the first place. Is that astounding?
Yeah, it's not astounding to me because these are my friends.
Okay, you see it every day.
Yeah. I just want to let you know, we got your back. Please keep pushing forward for us, and we're going to keep knocking on doors for you. All right.
That was pretty amazing, huh?
Oh, yeah.